We are broadcasting from Singapore to the world, live cast. We have an international panel here with us all the way from the US, in various states in the US, from Virginia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Texas, Georgia, and then to South Asia, Pakistan, and India. And then in this part of the world at the equator, we have Malaysia, Singapore, and then also we have Central America, Mexico. We bring in this 12 guests, including last night a new added show from Singapore director and producer Mr. Ang Ming Sung, who's going to be here again next Thursday at 10 p.m. Singapore prime time. And also we're going to have a Dr. Banwal from India, and he's going to come on Sunday 11 p.m. Singapore time to give us an overview of the pandemic and vaccination situation in India. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, because your time is precious, and you've dedicated your time to be on the show. I want to thank you, and I want to thank all these co-hosts with us here. Today we've got Ben, Ibrahim, and everyone from the US were waking up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. American time. Okay, I hope it's not COVID. But one will never know until you get tested. So I always tell people, okay, avoid each other and avoid me, my neighbors. Please just avoid each other. And Dr. Moby has said very well. He says that never go near to the virus. Avoid physical distance, mask, sanitize. He says that you have to be as far away from this virus as possible. So today we've got Ben Ibrahim from Malaysia, and he's going to update with us for the next 30 minutes or more about the vaccination situation in Malaysia, and also his take on 2020 and his view about 2021 on a personal level about what's going to happen. And as he talks to his friends and he's talked to the people in the community, and as he repivots, like all of us, trying to repivot and kind of recalculate in this uncalculable future with such a, I should say, everyone is in a confused twilight zone state. So with that, I really have to get the guests to give us our honest take on, like, okay, are you in a confused state? Are we still in a twilight zone? We're all in this planet together. What do we think about getting out of the situation? Are we going to get out of the situation? What do people think? So it's a really an opinion and honest take on it. We don't have any statistics, neither to all the doctors or the scientists. It's always based on opinion. Even from the scientists, it's an opinion. They can only say, oh, with the best opinion I can give. So, with this show, ladies and gentlemen, it's really about our take on it, our view of the world and what's happening in this part of our circle of friends and the neighborhood. Ben, how are you? Would you like to say hi to all the viewers and listeners who are tuning in?
Yeah, hi Vicky. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me again. No, I'm okay. I mean, a bit more positive this week in the sense that in Malaysia, that restaurants can have a few more people in the restaurant.
So for the Chinese New Year.
Yeah, for physical serving. So that's made some people in Malaysia feel a little bit more comfortable, because COVID, like I said last week, is not so much of the physical stress, it's more of the mental stress. When can you go back to life as normal, especially young children who don't know any better, who are finding this very difficult. So
very difficult for children.
Now in the car, you can have 4 people in the car, not 2 or 1. So that's a little bit better. So people can start when they go to, just for example, they see their parents, they can bring their children, they don't have to go separate cars, or they can't go not at all. So the last few days have been a bit more positive than last week. Last week was a bit glum, to be honest. So yeah. And
last week was the New Year week, right?
Yeah, last Friday was Chinese New Year. We spoke
It
on.
was just horrible, right? I mean, it's like we have this show on the first day of the Lunar New Year in Malaysia and Singapore, which is so huge, and China actually cancelled Chinese New Year, right? To
Yeah,
deter 50 million people from crisscrossing the whole of China, the migrant workers. So last week, and I would say that as vaccination is progressing in Singapore, and a little bit about to the viewers in Malaysia, also to viewers around the region, Singapore has actually started it even in January when the Prime Minister has his first jab, and then the
yeah,
Minister of Health. We didn't have a lot of positive words from them. They just say, try to get the jab. They did not. And the thing is that I think people going in with a jittery heart, not knowing what is this, it's such a new thing. I think everybody go in with a hopeful heart, with a hopeful mind, and Ben, just to let you know, and also a little bit of commercial to Ben and to the viewers, on Wednesday when Anita Brown came onto the show, Mrs. Anita Brown came onto the show. She prayed about vaccination. She being a Christian and she being someone who gave her heart to her faith. She prayed for everyone. I think we need prayers from every kind of faith. Can you imagine? She prayed specific, and I'm really surprised because anyone who comes onto the show, ladies and gentlemen, we never communicate. What are you going to talk about? We never communicate. And she prayed specifically for the vaccine that people are going to take around the world, that it must agree with our DNA and the red blood cells and the white blood cells and our bone marrow and our organ. Can you imagine? You look at it, Ben, you and I, we share the same red blood cell, white blood cell, whatever call it, is there any difference that the cells will distinguish what color you are, what language you are? I don't think so. Or what kind of faith you believe in. Can you ask the cell about that? I mean, then of course we know a lot of things as we listen, as we really watch the show. I would think that it wisens me up a lot. For her to really go into a deep prayer, to be praying for the blood, praying for the vaccine to agree with our body, where whomever you are. And you know that, Ben, you and I are slightly different in terms of the
exactly.
DNA makeup, right? But yeah, we are taking the same vaccine. Can you imagine that? How much unknown are we going into, because it's a new technology, and we really need a lot of the mighty forces up there in the universe to really protect everyone. I mean, I think this is the total understatement. Ben, are you going to get a vaccine? What are your takes about vaccines?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that question, Vicky, because my father asked me that question last night. And my father, I mean, I don't mean to put him up on the trophy pedestal, but both my parents are very wise people. They're
Yeah,
very extremely well qualified.
yeah.
My father was a CEO before. My mother's an academic, so they're quite intelligent people. So I take their word not just as parents, but with a lot of logic and
Like a
guidance
professional. Yeah,
and common sense,
yeah,
and because they're very intelligent people and very calm and collected. So my father asked me last night. We had dinner.
yeah.
They came over to our house and we had dinner with them because two people can travel in the car. And he's like the COVID-19 spokesperson of our family. He's reading the news all the time. He knows all the statistics of every country
Mhm.
of COVID-19. I mean, he knows the ups and downs. He just knows the politics of it all. So he's really into it, and like from a keeping yourself informed point of view. And he asked me last night, "Hey, when are you going to take the vaccine?" And I said, "I'm not, because I'm scared. I don't because my body's sensitive. I'm allergic to aspirin.
Yes, I
You know,
know. I am
yeah.
myself.
So like I'm a bit like as we say in Malaysia, takut lah, which means scared. So I'm the type of guy I let other people do it first and see what happens, you
Mhm.
know. And like then my sister-in-law, who's a doctor with the Ministry of Education, she's pregnant, God bless, and she's due to deliver next month. So, apparently we were talking about should she take the vaccine, should she not? And we were like saying, no, I don't think she should because, like she's
Wait until
very,
she delivers the
yeah,
baby. Yeah.
she's super, super pregnant. But, but because she's a doctor, works for the Ministry of Education, they have their own protocols about this as well. So, I don't know. I wouldn't personally take it. I'm a bit scared.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I'm thinking, why can't she postpone that a little bit until she delivers? Then she can decide because now she's like taking the vaccine without having asked the permission of the kid whether the kid wants. You're talking about you having another person in the body, right? So I'm thinking like, okay, if she can postpone it and then see the situation. I mean, to be honest with you, like we're having this really honest, open conversation. I think it's really out in the open. It's not just you and I, but it's really out. Even when I'm talking to Lillian from the US, I'm talking to everyone. Everyone is jittery. Even when I talk to Anita Brown herself, she's a nurse and she's a pastor also. But she has a lot of reservation. Even people from the medical sector, people do have a lot of reservations. Without looking at the statistics, which can be quite scary, people who are succumbing to vaccines, not succumbing to the virus. I mean, there are two kinds of succumbing, right? You are really people who succumb to the virus, but there's another category people who are succumbing to the vaccines, and the news are not too much out there. Oh, hi.
Hey.
Okay, we can have him. Would you like to say hi? That's the new normal, right?
Yeah. Say hello, everybody.
Yeah, and okay, tell us about him. Are kids gonna have vaccines? Are kids gonna be vaccinated I don't know. In Singapore, we have not heard about that yet.
No, we haven't heard about that in Malaysia. I think we're letting the adults let that happen first.
Yeah.
So and then we'll see what happens with that because I mean if someone asked me to put my children through it, I wouldn't do it. It's too early, Vicky. It's really, really early. Okay, there's some people.
That means it's not compulsory in Malaysia. It's actually optional.
Not yet.
Yeah,
not yet. At the moment, what they're doing with the vaccine is the frontliners first. The nurses, the doctors, the people who are old. Hold on, just 1 second.
It happens.
Sorry, everybody. This is COVID lockdown at its real live, real time.
It happens. So, it happens. Yeah. That's why we must be more forgiving to each other because we know all of us are in a very peculiar situation and twilight zone. So yeah, I mean, if the Ministry of Education makes it compulsory, Singapore has not verbally said that it's compulsory, but it seems that it's going to go into that direction. What about you being a dad? If the Ministry of Education says that children will have a kid's dosage,
right,
or a kid's version, and of course with that comes with the messaging and all this. What's your take on it as a father?
No, I mean, look, I don't think the directive will come from the Ministry of Education. The directive will come from the Ministry of Health. So we will have to follow suit. And I mean, if it's compulsory, we have to follow what the government says. Malaysia is quite strict that way. And I mean, that's a good thing that our enforcements are getting better. I mean, once upon a time, Malaysian enforcement was very lax. You can get away with things. And Singapore is a classic example of being very stringent and strict and strong enforcement. So, and Singaporeans are very proud of that. And I know there's many Malaysians who wish that, I mean, in terms of evolution of our society, being a developing country, we want our laws to be strict and adhered to. So yeah, if it comes from the Ministry of Health, Vicky, we'll follow. But I as an individual I'll put my hand up and say, look, I have some reservations because certain parts of the vaccine from certain countries. I can't remember which one. I think it's AstraZeneca or the other company. It's got aspirin in it. So my mother and I, we can't take it because because when I take aspirin, I get puffy eyes, like someone punched me in the face. So I
You
look
have
like
your
Kung Fu
allergic
Panda.
reaction. Yes.
Yeah, I will
Yes.
look like Kung Fu Panda. So, which is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, the worst thing can happen. But, I'd rather not go through that ordeal.
Yeah.
And, so again, it's a little bit early to say the communication has not been forthright. I mean, we use the media as a strong communication tool here in Malaysia, but the government has announced that yes, frontliners first, government servants, and then it will go in waves, and then baby boomers generation, and then the younger adults, and then it will trickle down. So they've got a target in place, and it's really funny that the Minister of Science, Innovation, and Technology, Kari Jamaluddin, a very smart individual. I used to work for him. He was my big boss when I worked for the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Yeah.
So he's the champion of the vaccination. So yeah, he's a good communicator. So his ministry have done a very good job communicating what's expected. So it's early days yet, Vicky. Very, very early days yet. Super early days.
I would like to echo what you said. I am actually quite an anti-vax myself. Anti-vax as in, even before this pandemic hit, I always feel that people should be given information, a choice to get vaccines. Whether it's a normal flu vaccine or normal whatever vaccines you should get. I mean, the word vaccine to me, it's just a very generic word. It's just like vitamin.
Exactly.
Yeah, the word vitamin. I'm going to inject you with vitamin. It's like, okay, I need to know what kind of vitamin, what are the sources, what is its makeup, and what kind of people have taken it. I mean, I need to know the whole host of things. I mean, I'm going to take it, right? I would think that the word vaccine is really likened to a very generic term like a vitamin, like a supplement, right? You don't know what is it. I mean, when we go to the shop, right? When we go to the health shop, we will say, okay, vitamins. All right, I need to know, like, is it vitamin A, B, C, D, E? I need to know exactly what country is being made, what brand is it, the production, the manufacturer, and I'm going to study a whole host of it. I mean, you can't just tell me, say, I'm going to give you a vitamin and it's compulsory and you got to take it. I don't like that kind of top-down, forceful way of communication. And of course, because this is being rolled out really fast for the world to recover, I mean, it's a double-edged sword we're really talking about. You take it or you don't take it. It's whichever way. We still don't know if the world is still going to go back to normal. And people say that even with the vaccines, the world may not go back to normal. It's going to go back to new normal, whereby you're still going to have social distancing. You're still going to have your mask, and the country, the world that the country has changed is going to still largely going to be the same for the next 7 to the next 10 years, even with vaccination. And the economy may not pick up just because today your country has vaccine. Because economic terms does not rely on vaccine. Economic terms are driven by demand and supply and the marketplace. And of course, there's certain consumer behavior. But if a consumer behavior and people are not traveling, money is not being transacting, the economy may not revert to those pre-pandemic era. It's going to be like big dip, and hopefully that it's going to reverse back, but it's going to be really, really hard. Like the subprime crisis on the Asian, the 2004 Asian crisis we had, it was really tough for Asia, I think, during those times, 2004. So with the vaccine, to be honest, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody has their own take on it, but I think that the unknowns are there. It is up to you to decide, and up to you as a father or a mother to decide for your kids. And my take for myself, I can't even advise any of my family members, like my uncles, my aunts. They're of an age which is they're 80 years old, 79, 80 years old. I can't even advise them yes or no. really, Ben, this is in God's hands. We don't know. We are going from the COVID unknown now to the vaccination unknown. I mean, how much unknowns are we going in? How much more can we take? 2020, we talked about the COVID-19, and now 2021, we talk about the unknowns of the vaccination. What is going on? What is going on? You know, tell us what's your response,
Exactly.
Ben?
Exactly.
What about the
No,
conversations
it's
between
like
you,
you said.
you and your family? Yeah.
No, we take it day by day, week by week. That's all we can do. I've been reaching out to a lot of people on Facebook. Hey, are you still using Facebook? Most of them have replied, and you know what? There's nothing much to say, but just hello, how are you? Friends helping each other out, keeping the morale up and running.
Yeah, trying to keep the morale
We
up.
don't
I
know
mean,
when this
like,
will end. Back to your first question at the start of the show, we don't know. Yeah, because like my daughter asked her grandfather last night, how long will this last? He said, at least another year. We will be wearing masks for a good long time to come. Okay. And today I switched on the TV. I saw the NBA on TV. And then after that, I saw in America, everybody's wearing masks. So America, not too long ago, was like, we're going to do whatever. But now, right now, people are like, okay, this is serious. This is serious stuff. So treat it seriously. It's going to be here for a while to come, unfortunately. And there's nothing, we just hope for the best.
yeah.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah, and
That's all you can do.
In 2019, no one would have like envisaged in their wildest dreams or wildest vision, that 2020 and 2021 is going to be a year like this. I don't think any astrologers, fortune tellers, people who are like the card readers. What about you, Ben? Is there any of these kind of things that you all go through, like in your culture, that you all do, like card reading, fortune telling or something? Do you all do that? I mean, for me, it's like I don't know if anyone, even Elon Musk, right? Talking about people who are in AI and all that. Come on, you've got all these data from the AI, and none of them has like come up with some kind of prediction. I mean, it's like, that's really like a slap in the face of a human intelligence. Even with the best technology, and we're talking about into the world of big data, into the world of deep tech, machine learning. What have we learned? It's like, haven't any of these data indicate, okay, this is the trend that we're going to go in 2020. This is the trend we're going to go into 2021. Bill Gates, we hear nothing from them or any indication. This just came out of the blue. It's really a bolt out of the blue, like a thunder just came in the light, bright sunlight. Sometimes, like Ben, you're saying that Malaysian government. I mean, I'm glad that you are commending your government, because I do think that they're walking a very tight rope, to do or not to do, to release or not to release the restrictions, to make the students go back to school or not. I mean, no matter what you do, there will be pockets of people who is going to be unhappy, because you can't really please the world, right? What do you and your wife talk about? I mean, is there something that you all are preparing for 2021 during these times?
No, we come up with a thing called the what if strategy.
Okay, tell us.
What if this happens? What if this schools go back to normal? What do we do? Do we need to look at the budget, to look at money for more school uniforms? Do we send our son to school, physical school, who's 4 years old, the one who just walked in just now? So that's a what if strategy. What if schools don't go back to normal? Do we need to have an upgrade of laptops? My brother just bought a computer today that you do touch screen. So that makes it a bit more friendly on virtual education. My friend, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you know, what if of the finances? What if Sophia goes back, gets a job in a school because she's a qualified teacher now?
yeah,
You know, so do we have to get our respective in-laws or my mom and dad to help out more? I mean, bear in mind they're 73 and 71 years old respectively. You know,
mm,
there's only so much they can do. You know,
mm,
they're not quick as lightning anymore. They
yeah,
have their own challenges. You know,
yeah,
back
yeah,
they're getting old, so we
yeah,
don't want to trouble them too
yeah,
much. But they love their grandchildren a lot.
yeah,
So yeah, you know, fortunately, very fortunate, we don't have a mortgage.
mm,
So that's a big blessing.
yeah,
Okay. So yeah, we just mainly it's finances, la Vicky, you know,
yeah,
and also the kids' school,
yeah,
you know, and when do we restart our savings again? We're digging into
yeah,
savings, things like
yeah.
that.
Mm. And you know, these are such real conversations that is out there. And you know, Ben, in the midst of some of these very dark conversations we have, which is so true, because we are really echoing people out there. Our lives are just a reflection of other people's lives, aren't we, Ben? You as a parent talking about okay, the fears of a parent, the fears of parents, whether they should decide to bring um, the kids back to school. I mean, this was the same question that I had with my own banker back in the first lockdown in 2020. And when the lockdown kind of like eased, she was still working from the home, and she's got two kids. One is 6 years old and
Yeah.
one is 9 years old. And I could feel her fear in her voice when she was talking to me. Because she was working from the home as a banker, you don't have to be physically there. As long as you have got all your data, you can call your clients and all this. And I could feel her fear. And Shahira. Shout out to you, Shahira. And she was telling me. Then I kind of like say, okay, let's put the official things aside. How are you? And she told me that she has to send her two kids off to school because schools are compulsory. They have no option then in Singapore,
Hmm.
and still schools are still compulsory. And can you imagine the fear that the parents have when we just came out of a lockdown? We call it the circuit breaker. The schools went back after 1 week, and you, as a mom, sending your 6-year-old and keep telling your kid, never take down your mask, social distance in school. I mean, 6-year-old boy. I mean, can you imagine the fear in a mom? She says that you can you imagine what I go through at home every day, knowing my kids are out there, and then knowing that they are wearing their mask, and I don't know if they're going to wash their hands. I don't know if they're going to keep their mask on or they're going to scratch their face. And what are they going to do when they're out of my sight? Can you? I can't imagine the kind of fear any parents go through. I mean, my heart goes out to her. And that kind of echoes the decision that you will have to make at some point if schools are made compulsory. But I'm not quite sure if that will come. I mean, it's like what you say. You have this spreadsheet of what if there's a choice of going to school, if there's choice of not going to school, etc., etc. But I think Malaysia largely now is still under online schooling, right? I mean, in Singapore, they have gone back to
Yeah, yeah.
school um, since June, and there were cases. There were cases in the schools, and then the school and the classes were on quarantine because there was, But I would say that the positive is, um, Ben, I think if we pray enough, I think God will show the mercy. I really think so. Uh, um, but Singapore has kept its numbers low, and thank God, a lot of situation is kept under control. So we've got really zero cases for the last week. I mean, thank God for that. And the numbers came from imported cases. People are coming back. Migrant workers. And I'm saying that they will also recover because they're just kept quarantined. And after 2 weeks, if they're tested negative, they will be out, open again, and they will lead normal lives. You just need the kind of adjustment period. But I do understand what you were saying, that the kind of unknowns that parents go through. Does your wife talked about her fears and anxieties for this what
Oh
if?
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's scared. She's worried. But you know what? Her and her family once upon a time went through a personal thing, and they know what it's like to have some pressure put on them. So they learned from that you control what you can. So and like my Sophia likes to be positive. She doesn't like whinging or complaints. So, I mean, which is good. I mean, why? She always says, let's embrace what we have. We can still eat. We can still eat well. We've got a roof over our head. Talking to you through a
Beautiful
computer.
house.
It's not so bad. Yeah, yeah. So it's not so bad. It's good. I mean,
Yeah, count
and
our
I mean,
blessings. Yeah.
but there's a Malay word called rizki, which is gift from God. So we've got some rizki, and we Malays like to see rizki as
Basically.
food. Food is the best thing that can happen. We can still eat pizza. We can still eat fish and chips. If we want some fried rice, we can. We can still. I mean, we're staying with my parents now. They have a treadmill. We use the treadmill every second day to stay fit. So the kids are. I mean, yeah. I mean, we've created a ecosystem within itself. I mean, it's not the best. The kids
Ecosystem.
haven't been out of the house
I think that's a very
and they're
good way
getting
of saying it.
frustrated. So, but, yeah. So it's yeah. We just try to stay as positive as we can. And I know that's a bit of a cliche saying. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. But I mean, and now with the launch of this new app called Clubhouse, I
Mm.
think
The
I think that's
iPhone
very
app.
COVID helpful. A lot of people are listening to Clubhouse now, and there's been various topics here and there. And one thing that's happened in Malaysia is that a very famous free to air station, which I used to work for, called NTV7, has been sold to the government, and it's called Didik TV,
In
DIDIK,
Malaysia.
and that is meant for that TV station is meant for the children in the rural communities who don't have academic resources. And unfortunately, one thing that went viral this week is that a Malay teacher was trying to teach English on that station, and her English wasn't very good, and she got slammed left, right, and center. And you know what? I called a friend of mine today and said, look, I'm going to call him today and say, look, you've got 16,000 people following you. Let's have a Instagram chat. I haven't told him to this yet. So if he's watching this, JJ, I'm about to call you. Let's have an Instagram chat because I feel for that lady. I feel for that lady who took a lot of shit this week.
Because
It
she did
wasn't
it
her
with the heart,
fault.
right?
She was probably following. No, not so much that, Vicky. She did it. She probably did it without. I mean, because she was told to. She's a government servant. She's a government teacher.
Oh, it's
She
a
was
Malaysian
told to do that.
teacher.
And like, yes, and she was wearing the tudung, wearing and everything. And you know what? I don't know her.
You don't put people through that
I
kind
hope
of
to meet
thing.
her.
Yeah.
No, because like it's so easy to slam people and makes me mad. And you know what? I mean, I'm just gonna say if I get that opportunity, I'm just gonna say we don't know what kind of pressures she was on or instructions she was on to go out there and do that kind of job, and unfortunately take a lot of heat. One thing about TV presenters, we take a lot of heat when it's not our fault.
Mm.
I used
Yeah.
to say to the people I used to work with in Singapore, I did some freelancing in Singapore. I said, look, you as a producer have made a lot of mistakes, and as a presenter, I wear it, and I don't mind wearing it because I'm a team player. But if I have to wear it every show, then I get a bit pissed off and angry.
Yeah.
So that lady has worn a lot of mistakes, which is something that is not her fault, most probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit early to tell. But I will ask those questions if there's a press conference tomorrow. Did she do that in a very last minute situation?
Actually, is it
And you know
because
what? I mean,
she was teaching English but in a very bad state or something?
No, it's just like, look, it's just like if I'm gonna teach Mandarin now, I'm gonna say all the words incorrectly.
I see.
You know, and yeah. So it was like she was trying to say, I think she was trying to say birth, but it sounded like birth. It sounded like bird. You know,
I mean,
things like that.
I know, but
You know,
she was
so
trying, yeah, people do have their own accent. I mean, like we speak English, right? If we go to Britain, people will be saying, what kind of English are you speaking? If you go to Britain and you're talking about you're talking about going to Britain and they tune into what we're talking about, like our language is that English? you know,
well, British
and
people.
that and
I'm
then for
sorry,
what
certain parts of Britain can't even speak English properly.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say is that every place brings with them the colloquialism, the accents of their environment, right? I mean, like in Singapore, people speak English, right? I mean, they bring with them that kind of cultural context, the kind of like rojak kind of mixture in a big melting pot, and for her to be taking that kind of criticisms and brickbats, I think it's unkind already in this pandemic days. That's why we should like
Exactly.
what now. I mean, I'm just saying that in pre-pandemic days, it has been really bad. But if anyone is going to take criticism in pre-pandemic days, they are already in really bad state. Maybe they need the money. Maybe whatever situation. And then they are taking this. I mean, it's almost like a double, triple whammy for a person to be taking these from the social media, and if we should show if we could be any time, if we could be kind, this is the best time to be kind during the pandemic situation. And she's from one of the rural areas, right? Or she's trying to teach the rural
I'm not
kids,
sure.
right?
Again, Vicky, the information is very, very loose at the moment. This only happened 24 hours ago, or 48 hours ago, and everybody's a keyboard warrior
Yeah.
criticizing her. I just hope that it doesn't turn into a mental health issue and that she might collapse or anything
Yeah,
because
people do hang
if you
themselves.
teach her the,
People do hang themselves over
yeah,
social
that's
media comments.
yeah, it's not nice. It's not nice.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not fair.
people are going through
So
very bad, very difficult times now. I mean, trying to get a job and all this. Even talking about English language, I mean, to us, we speak standard English, right? Or even I speak Mandarin, right? But until if I went to China, they will ask you, what are you speaking? You know what I'm trying to say?
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you can say
Yeah.
even Malay language, the Singaporean Malay and the Malay and the Indonesian Malay, they are different, right? Even
Yeah.
the Indonesian, they will say, what is the Malay speaking in Malay? What kind of Malay are they speaking? I mean, I've heard people talk about that. And the Chinese in China will say, what kind of Chinese Mandarin are you talking about? Like you call yourself Chinese. I mean, we should really understand it could be a colloquial kind of mixture with the local slang, the local cultural context. I mean, it's just like you go to any country in the world, English really sounds different in every part of the world. Um, Nobody has a claim on this is my standard English. I mean, if you go to Africa, that is their standard African English. Singaporean standard English. Singlish is a Singaporean standard English. So Ben,
Exactly.
so your kids do get tuition from you?
Uh, no, we subscribe to a lot of tuition. Like they have maths class. Well, my daughter has maths class every Monday and Wednesday, and then a religious class every Friday. So which she does with the cousins online. So yeah, not much. I mean, we don't want. I mean, I don't want to be the typical Asian parent that just really just drills home tuition, Vicky. I mean, it's can drive you insane, in my opinion. You know, but
Yeah.
bit of a balance. So it's early days yet. Again, I mean, we're exploring other like maybe some creative public speaking classes and things like that. So we'll see what happens. Okay.
What's your thoughts on your kids? I can see your kid, your boy, active, running. You're trying to keep up with him in the house, and he's so active. You're trying to keep up the energy level. what's your thoughts on during this period? If I've got a friend, and this is real, she has a very big, uh, you know, fight with the husband because the husband feels it's the pandemic times, people are in lockdown. It's okay to give the kid the iPhone, the iPad, or just let him play and not keep to the structure and not keep to syllabus. And but the mom, who is my friend, says, no, 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 no. We should really be keeping to all this. What's your take on it? You and your wife, how do you see such situations during lockdown for parents?
That's a tough question, Vicky.
And they had like a 3 month standoff, the husband and the wife over this. I feel for the kid.
That's a tough one because it's not the kid's fault, because what else is my son gonna do? I mean, my parents are always saying, oh, don't give him the iPad so much, but what are you gonna do? You know, I'm working, my wife is working, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, what are you gonna do? So like, you know, there's no maid in the house. Do you want the maid to teach him stuff if we have a maid? You know? So it's I mean, I can't answer that question, but we do give. That's why when I finish work, I try to play football with them outside. You know, and today we just broke. Today we broke the cycle. You know, and for about 20 minutes with my son. Sorry, we played rugby. You know, we just catch the ball, and I have this exercise with him. I say, smack the mosquito. So he tries to smack the mosquito by catching the ball.
Smack the mosquito.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So
but,
you look at like that.
Yeah.
So
cute.
Yeah, that's what I do with it, man.
And you and your wife does not have any disagreement on the method, which is what I'm trying to get at. You and your wife does not have a disagreement.
No. I mean, look, we are trying our best to work with what we've got. You know, we don't have much help. My parents have been great. Her parents have been, they're quite busy. So we do what we can. We just do what we can. I mean, and if resorting to the iPad, it has to be done. It just has to be done. You know,
it's a very difficult time right now. Yeah. And I do feel for parents who are trying to keep to a regimen of the school syllabus or trying to keep to like the regimen pre-pandemic. You know, pre-pandemic, you know that Asian parents can be really hard on the kids. Some, I'm not saying all, but some, there are parents who, you know, bring the kids for tuition, mathematics, English, and then swimming, and then piano, whatever. Just fill up the time of the kid, and then the parents just become like the driver, right? Put here. But then no, during pandemic times, all these activities are none. The kid is in the home, and if the parents still become regimental, I'm not sure what kind of stress you can give to the kid and to the family when you need to keep a certain structure, to keep a certain level of achievement on this and this. I can't believe. I mean, I think this is a time for people to just be forgiving and just relax. We don't even know we're gonna. We don't even know if tomorrow we're gonna live.
Exactly. I mean, well said there. So, I mean, just live in the moment and see what happens. You know?
Yeah. So, and I don't. I've got no. I mean, of course, pre-pandemic times, you look at the parents giving, too much to the kid. You're thinking, but during pandemic times, I would think that in times of prolonged lockdown, we're really talking about into the 14th month. Can you imagine, Ben, we're into the 14th month without any planning, in lockdown, and I'm literally in lockdown because I can't even go back to France. I can't even. I changed my ticket twice. My third time, I tried to get a reimbursement. I got a voucher. I don't intend to get onto a plane. I'm just going to stay away from airports. It's like, I mean, just be a little bit forgiving, be flexible. I mean, if we can't achieve it, just can't achieve it. I mean, it's like people are dying in the streets and look at what's happening in some of the news. I'm just going to like be a bit in your face, ladies and gentlemen, but if you watch the internet, there are grave diggers who are working overtime, and they really literally show the graves, like miles and miles and miles. And these people are behind the scene. They are the poorest worker. They cannot find jobs. And they're bearing the brunt of the final end of the COVID-19 pandemic logistical curve. You know, we are talking about the healthcare workers in the front line, but I don't want about the people in the back line, right? And you're talking about people who are actually the grave diggers. And I saw this news that, I'm not sure what language it is. He says that it's already how many hectares and how many hectares and how many hectares already, and it's full. And then you know what? There's so many of these holes, right? That you need to put in the coffee, and they are like so packed and all this. I mean, it's not morbid to talk about it, because it is. If it's not life, it's the other side, right? I mean, no matter what kind of cell that we have, no matter what kind of faith you have, no matter what kind of language you speak, you know, it's either this side is life, the other side is no life. There's only two roads to go.
True. Agree.
Yeah, and you know the numbers are really climbing. Hopefully, you know, Ben, we have met each other, we spoke to each other in the third quarter of 2020, not knowing that, you know, this is going to take on for another year, and then another year, 2022, and even like 2023. You know, is there any final wrap up you'd like to give for the next 3 minutes for the listeners and the viewers? You know, to also wrap up the prolonged pandemic with your show. You know, hopefully next week I can create one with all your wonderful highlights in Malaysia as a gift for you and your wife. Tell us what's your thoughts on your future, as in all these what ifs that you run through with your wife. Future as a human being. Not in any compartmentalized.
We just have to believe, and believe that those three words in the word believe, LIE, is not a lie. So we must believe, not lie. So believe that this will be over. There will be brighter days. There will be sunny days. There will be days in the park again. There will be days we go to the cinema and hold hands and eat popcorn and drink Coca-Cola, you know, as a cheat day, you know, for the dieting that my wife and I always talk about. You know, intermittent fasting, eating vegetables, drinking water, not soft drinks, you know.
Yeah.
So we believe in those. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Vicky, I remember I was showing our age here a little bit. When I was growing up, my parents used to watch the show Happy Days, you know. So, and you know, it had a very catchy tune. It had very, it had that very famous, good-looking actor, the Fonz, who was a ladies' man, you know, and it had Archie, who went on to create really fantastic movies, you know, with the Leonardo DiCaprio's of this world. Ron Howard, I think his name was, or is. So believe that happy days can happen again. You know, if you think that this is gonna kill everything and everyone, you're already defeated.
It's really hard.
You know, and I know it's hard, but if you have children, hug them. If you have a wife, hug her. If you have a husband, hug him. If you don't have those people close to you that I just spoke about, reach out to someone. I spoke to my friend Grace today. We used to work with NTV at NTV7, and NTV7 closed down 3 days ago. And that station was known as that station was known as the Feel Good channel. So
and
to feel good, we reached
in Malaysia.
Yeah. So to feel good, we reached out to each other to make each other feel good, reminisce on the good old days. And then Grace used to say to me, Ben, you were such a workaholic. We were all so scared of you. I said, what's there to be scared about? I just love my job and I wanted to be good at it. If that means waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and reading the news before going on air at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I was hosting a morning show, I mean, 7 o'clock in the morning, then so be it. I wanted to be good at what I wanted. I, I wanted to be good at my trade of being a TV presenter. I was young then, it was a long time, 10 years ago. So, I was new. I wanted to establish myself. I believed I was a good presenter. It's just I needed some time and practice. Today, no different. I believe that this will be over. So, back then, 12 years ago, when I first became a presenter, a lot of people said to me, "Oh, it's tough. It's a very competitive industry. You're Asian. You'll never go far." I said, "I'm going to be a world-class presenter." And I did. And I am. And I'm sorry if I sound arrogant, but it's not arrogant if it's true. So you like me, Vicky, because I speak from the heart. I present well with energy, passion, and truth. And I'll never